We live in a very stressful time, very fast-paced world. We all have cell phones. I mean, I'm looking around and see about 5 on the table, and if we had mine, that would be 6. But it's so many things so many stresses that we have, just moving from place to place, seeing clients, just doing our work responsibilities. As soon as we get home, somebody says, hey, can you cook me dinner, or can you drive me this place? And while we're on the go, while we're out and about, we even go as far as going to a drive-in, drive-through to get some food. And we don't even have to tell them what it is, right? We can say, can I get a number 4? Can I get a number 3? And in 2 minutes, most of the time, you'll have your food and you'll be on your way. So my point is that because we live in this fast-paced world, and there's so many things that we have to do, that we become so stressed out that we don't take that time to focus on ourselves and what our needs are. And that can definitely have a negative consequence on your health, on your just how you connect with other people. You can answer the phone totally upset, hello, just because you're stressed out. Hey, I couldn't have timed that any better. But Natalie always helps me out with it. But so this training is really going to help you with discussing the different strategies in terms of how do you cope with stress. I like to do these workplace kind of work-life balance trainings. Sometimes I like to pepper them in throughout the year. Most of it is clinical, but I think that this is appropriate because I think that you can't help other people unless you have some skills to help yourself navigate through things that we all experience, which is stress, which is one of the things. All right, so today's objective include, we're going to define stress and resiliency. So not only are we going to identify what they are, but also how do we bounce back from that? Because it's not if stress happens, it's when stress happens. And when it happens, we just want to have all of the tools that we need to be able to navigate through it so that we can just come out on the good side of it, so that we don't let stress kind of go like a snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we're totally impacted by it, because stress can impact our work-life balance. It can totally affect our emotions. It can make us have clinical depression as well if we don't deal with it. So really just knowing what it is. Recognize those personal stressors and your response to them. As I always say, your body is your internal alarm. So when you're living in this fast-paced world, we move around so much that we don't take the time to be still, right? To be still, to pay attention to our bodies, because our bodies let us know when we're stressed out. I mean, for me, my mouth gets really dry and I can't talk, because my mouth is really dry, right? Try to imagine that, me not being able to talk. But also, my underarms get really sweaty, and don't worry, I'm not nervous today, although it's a little hot in here, but I still have on deodorant. So if I do sweat, it's covered. I got you covered. I do start pacing around often. My heart starts beating pretty fast. My hand shakes if I'm really under a tremendous amount of stress. So it's just paying attention to your body, because it's sending you these alarm systems that are letting you know that you are stressed out and that you have to do something different. Okay, so it's really important for us to pay attention to our bodies and really just try to do something different to take care of it. We're going to identify qualities of resiliency and effective coping, and lastly, develop skills necessary to build resiliency, because that's definitely something that we must be able to do. Again, we take care of so many people except ourselves. It's definitely hard. I mean, I can stand here and tell you guys the scenario that we all hear. Every time we take a plane, when the stewardess comes on board and she stands here, she stands in the middle of the aisle, and they say, in the matter of if the plane does go down, God forbid that it goes down, you first get the oxygen mask, you put it on yourself, and then you put it on the baby, the child next to you. But we know this, but yet we still put oxygen masks on other people all day long, and we save it for ourselves last, and we don't take care of ourselves at all, and then we run out of energy. So what is stress? What is it, right? Stress is a physical and a mental response to any demand made on an individual. Demands can be positive, or it can also be negative. And some positives, you say, what is positive stress? Well, I mean, it's positive stress can be if you're moving out of town to another city. It can be totally exciting to do that, but then you have to sign a lease and different things like that. I mean, even if you want to go on a vacation, you know, if I said, look, you guys can go to Hawaii for 3 weeks, all expenses paid, say, that's great, but then you say, what am I going to wear? Then you're going to start packing. If you have small children at home, who's going to watch the child? Because I'm not taking my child to Hawaii with me. I'm going to have too much fun. So you start thinking about all of these things, and you get stressed out. If you guys ever taken a vacation, and once you got back home, you needed a vacation from the vacation because you were so busy preparing for it and coming back and said, I just need another week. You know, those things are examples of positive stress. We all know what negative stress can be. It can be the things that are just south, just negative. Just our interactions with people, different circumstances, different events, death of a loved one, loss of a job. You know, all of those things can definitely cause us some stress. People can stress us out. Right? Surprise, surprise. Music can even stress us out. Because I do so many trainings, I'm often on 95, going up and down 95, up and down 95. So while I'm on 95 driving, I listen to a lot of music. So one time I'm driving to one of my presentations and I'm listening to DMX, right? And I get out of the car and I'm just having, I'm here having a song in my head. So I go to the bathroom before I go to meet with the audience that I'm going to present to, and I notice that my eyebrows are like this, right? And I'm like, man, because I'm thinking about DMX, you know what you want? Like, I think about him in my head, and it's not good to listen to him while you're driving down the cliff. Like, it's not good. Like, in those little windy roads, like, don't listen to DMX on 10, right? Because you'll lose all the time. But stress can also be contagious, right? So if we're in a workplace and one person is stressed out, they can definitely send that stress to you, and you'll have that stress as well, and you can be having a really good day, come across somebody who's really stressed out, really negative, and you can become stressed out. But the good news is, if you are a positive person, you have that ability to make somebody else's life, their day, positive. If you say positive things to them, positive interactions with them, those are all great things as well. Definitely important. So stress can be characterized by lower resistance to illness and disease. So we all know that times in our life we were so stressed out that we just got really sick, or we got a cold. So, man, I don't know, where did this cold come from? But that, and then you take some inventory on the last week or two of your life, and you look at so many things that you've done, and you're like, man, I'm stressed out. So like moving, for example, you're moving all of these bags, you're getting all of this physical movements in there, and that's just really exerting all of this extra energy and just the new environment. That brings a lot of stress. So good luck with that. Fatigue definitely is something that can cause stress, because you can be really just hypersensitive to the smallest things. You can just really feel like so lethargic, and all you really want to do is lay in the bed, especially on a beautiful day like today. It's so cloudy, it's so gray. Best day to lay in the bed, right, and have a cup of soup, or just kind of flip the channels. I think Maury Povich is coming on right now as I speak. Physical ailments, you have back pain or high blood pressure. Have you ever been driving or just walking around and you just felt like something in your neck and it was just so hard and twisted? That's stress. Like, you can feel stress right there. Or you're driving in your car and you can't even look to the left, like you gotta try to turn your whole body around, but then if you do, you'll crash into the person behind you. Anybody ever did that? You did? Wow, you crashed into something?
No, I didn't crash into anybody,
Okay.
but I have to turn like this because I have the stress.
It's tough. Here. It's tough. So you gotta just kind of roll your neck, and take those deep breaths. I mean, that power of breathing is so important. The power of stretching. That's why I'm saying that we have to make that time for ourselves. We have to make that time for ourselves to really just take inventory of our bodies. Just pay attention on our bodies. My presentations I did yesterday was about preventing back injury, right? That was really exciting. But it really was informative, because I always learn things when I do these presentations as well, that when we're sitting or even standing, like, we have to have a balance with our posture. You have to be upright, when you sit down. And I was saying it, and someone who was sitting like at 12 o'clock away from me, she was like laid back in her chair. Her neck was on the tip of the chair. I think she thought she was relaxing. It was like if she could lay down, she would. But I, you know, when I said it, she like sat up and got straight because that was going to cause so much stress to her body, her back, her neck, just her vertebrae. All those things were going to be affected because her posture was off. And I mean, we see this all the time, especially as we drive through Baltimore City. Sometimes folks walk around like this, and they don't have a purpose at all. It's like, please hit me, right? In the car, right? Just hit me, just end it all. But, you know, my point is, people don't walk with that purpose. You have to be upright. You have to be straightforward, and so that you have the best posture as you possibly can have. Inability to cope with day-to-day events. So that's when you just really feel empty. So if any of you guys ever have like a washcloth and you squeeze it out, which should be all of you, right? But you squeeze all of this water out of this washcloth and then it's out, and then you say, well, let me try to squeeze it out again. And then like not one drop comes out if you squeeze it real good. That's what really feeling stressed is. That's what it feels like. It's like trying to get energy out of that washcloth, but then there's nothing there to come out at all. Emotional problems, you know, again, feeling depressed, having anxiety, really just feeling frustrated, and then sometimes having those relationship problems. When you're stressed out and you have relationship problems, guess why? Because you're not fun to be around, right? You're not fun to be around. But if we have issues at the workplace, we take them home. If we have issues at home, sometimes we bring it to the workplace. And then you guys ever been around somebody that while you're out having drinks or having dinner, all they do is talk about work? Mm-hmm. Isn't that fun? Don't you love that? Don't you love to hear the stories about what's going on and who's trying to sabotage their career and who's treating them unfairly? You just love to hear that over a nice cocktail? Absolutely not. Like, we don't want to hear that stuff. So, you know, that's just negative, and we just don't want to hear that perspective. But what is resiliency? And that's what I really want to know. What is resiliency? Resiliency is the ability to be able to adapt to change, new situations, and to cope with adverse circumstances. So that's really just kind of digging deep and just bringing out your better self. So when I was doing this, putting this training together, I came across a quote by an author who's unknown. And I'll share it. And I don't know if you guys heard of this before. But it says, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only thing that you have. And I think that's so, it's just so insightful right there that, you know, when you just think that you're at your lowest, you have to think about just how you're going to bounce up from this, how you're going to change that situation. That's resiliency, right? That's resiliency because you are actually, you know, just reinventing yourself. Resiliency is like a muscle, right? So when you work out, we're working out on different muscles every day. You don't go and do the same workout every day, or you shouldn't. If you do, you shouldn't work out on the same thing. But nevertheless, if you're doing your arms, you're doing some curls, if you do that like every other day, guess what? Your arms are going to get stronger. It's the same thing with your resiliency. You have high resiliency equals lower stress. So how do you build resiliency? And I'll ask you guys, because I've been talking and I need to drink some tea. But how do you guys build resiliency to reduce and prevent stress in your own lives?
For me, delegation is important. Like with the whole moving, everybody in my house has something they have to do every day. They have a job that they need to do. So delegating to relieve myself of some of the things that have to get done is helpful. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. Taking that inventory on what needs to be done, for sure. Ebony, do you have any?
For me, two things. I would say making lists of things that have to be done. That way it's on paper, it's in front of me, and I know I can kind of prioritize and I see it, so that way I don't have to worry about anything falling through the cracks. Because I'm always at the end of the day, what did I forget to do? I forgot to do something. So putting it on paper alleviates that. And then just kind of accepting that things are going to happen, and just kind of trying to anticipate that change, and that is just something that I can't help. So just accepting it is a big part for me.
Yeah, that's huge, and I like that. And I mean, that's something that I do as well, just writing that list down. It's something so liberating about once you complete a task and you just put a line through it. It's like, oh, I got this done. Or just looking at pages from last